there's nothing wrong with you. If you're bald and tan.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a little bit more Miami
Yeah.
Vice style.
Yeah, exactly.
There's this assumed pattern of wealth going on.
Yeah.
It's all assumption. All right, man, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, go for it.
Cool. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the Flathead Home Show. My name's Justin Meccia. Happy weekend to you, friends. We are officially out of May, so all of that maybe weather stuff can cease. Now it's just June, and June typically or historically can be quite wet. And for those of you who are kind of like tired of the rain, look, I say bring it on. You know why? Because my grass is really, really green and I don't have to cut it because I can't cut it because it's raining too much. I also say bring it on because in the past, I've had my good friend Scott Countryman, little plug for you, buddy, on the show. And he is in the insurance arena, which is under the umbrella of real estate, yes, which is why we talk about it. And he has shared with us because he has a passion for wildfire prevention, right? And he talks because obviously being in the insurance world, he knows rather intimately what happens when fire gets close to homes and starts to create damage. And so he talks passionately about how homeowners should be aware of establishing a fire-safe perimeter on their properties and so on. And my point in all this is that he has shared with us on the show, I learned this, that it's not the snowfall in January or February, it's the rain in May, June that help prevent fire season in August, September, and in that area. Anyways, let's jump into some real estate, and Scott will have to come back on the show and talk about that at a future time. I want to thank my great sponsors for keeping this show on the air for 7+ now. Montana Basement Solutions, solving your water and mold problems for good. Give the good professionals there a call. Should you see some water in your basement because of all of this rainfall, they know what to do for you. Okay, I want to talk about, a big word in real estate, a word that's so big that I think you can take this entire industry, this entire ecosystem of real estate and sum it up in one word. And because I don't have enough time to talk about all of that, I'm just going to give it to you. The word is opportunity. Opportunity, because that's what you do. Okay, in the real estate world, licensed professional or not, you pursue opportunities. Let me break it down for you. If you are paying rent today, it's the end of the first week of the month of June, so you likely just wrote that check. Nobody writes checks anymore, Justin. You likely ACH'd that rent check, rent amount to your landlord. And when you did it, you might have had a little tear, right? You're like, there's another $2,000, there's another $3,000, whatever the amount is. You know what it is? You know what the interest rate of that rent check is? 100%, because none of that's coming back to you. Opportunity exists in real estate for those who are renting who want to convert to homeownership. And that's, give your buddy Justin a call, 871-9404, if you want to do that. Opportunity exists for those who are investing and they want to play the shell game in real estate and they move from A to B to C to D. In some, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8 in the world of real estate. Investors look at the world of real estate with their investor glasses and they look for return. Okay, when you and I have more for you on this, and we'll dive into a specific detail in the second segment here. But investors, let me give it to you, friends. Investors look at things through the lens of return. Okay, so you'll often hear an investor ask, like, what's the ROI? What's the return on investment? And if $1 can get spent and $1.25 is brought back, that's a return. Typically, you want to see $2 come back or $3 come back. So that would be what's called a multiplier. Okay, so if I'm going to spend $1 in the world of real estate and it brings me in 2, that's a 2x multiplier. In fact, sometimes, and I help people broker businesses, we look at the purchase whole of a business and we'll say, okay, is that a 2 or am I going to offer a 2x or a 3x or maybe even a 4x multiplier on the purchase, right? These are investment terms. Now, I bring all that to the table because those terms can be discussed whether you're licensed or not, and which is why I'm talking to everybody. Now let's talk about the world of real estate through the lens of investment. Why I love investing in real estate is because it is the greatest vehicle of wealth escalation in this country. Now hear me carefully. Not because it can be the most, okay? Because yes, you can throw your money at the S&P 500, you can throw your money at NASDAQ and at all of these fancy little stock acronyms and see more return in less time. That's not untrue. However, you have to do it dollar for dollar. We've discussed this in the past. If I want to throw $100,000 at S&P 500, I need $100,000. If I want to throw $100,000 in the world of real estate, I might need as little as $25,000. You see, 25 to obtain the value escalation of 100 is a greater wealth escalation vehicle. And in order to buy real estate in this country, arguably the greatest wealth creation vehicle in this country, two things need to happen. You need to be 18. That's it. Oh, and the second one, you need to have a little bit of cash, okay? You don't even need to be a U.S. citizen. That's how big an opportunity real estate can be. So when I come back from this break, I'm going to be an opportunity broker for you. I'm going to give you an opportunity right here in the Flathead that can put a lot of money in your pocket or in your friend's pocket or in somebody's pocket, and it will do it. My name is Justin Meccia, opportunity broker this weekend on the Flathead Home Show, and we'll be right back. Right at 6?
Yeah, very close.
Nice. Zing. Okay. All right, I have all my math, so I'm just ready to rock and roll. You good?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And we're back. It's the Flathead Home Show, opportunity broker style this weekend. My name's Justin Meccia. What I mean by opportunity broker, and in fact, I think I'm going to do this for a couple of weeks because I see plenty of opportunity out there, friends. We're going to discuss opportunity. And in fact, I'm going to dive into it in just a second. Before I do that, though, friends, put your investor hat on for just a second. For the next 5.5 minutes, put your investor hat on. I don't care if you've not purchased a home ever yet, or if you already are an investor, or anywhere in between. Put your investor cap back on for a second, and let's talk about opportunities. Why do people, and I see this a lot, why do people get into real estate and then get out of real estate? Well, likely because they played the opportunity game. Real estate became a vehicle for them to afford the next thing in life, and that next thing in life brought them even more wealth or more opportunity or more time or more freedom or more something, which is what allowed them to go from playing realtor to then playing investor and opportunist. They're still playing real estate. They're just not doing it with an active license, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are plenty of people who still do it with an active license, and there are even people who never even obtained the active license. I've got a good friend of mine who doesn't have an active license, and yet he owns multiple doors, right? And by that, I mean he has multiple investment properties. So let's talk about that. Specifically, I want to give you one of my listings here in Columbia Falls. And now I'm just going to give you the price tag, and I don't want you to fall out of your chair. I don't want you to just stop the car. I don't want you to change the channel. I don't want you to do any of that stuff. I want you to keep listening because we're going to play the Monopoly game here. And when we play the Monopoly game, when I mention Park Place and Boardwalk, everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? We're talking about the kingpins. We're talking about the big ones, right? Everybody dreams of owning Boardwalk because that's the biggest one. Right. And I think that's the price tag of like 450 or something like that. It's in the 400s. Right. And then Park Place right next to it, the other dark blue one, that one is like high 300s. Maybe it's 400 and 420. I can't remember what they are. They're just the biggest ones. We all dream of them. And even though few of us can ever score one of those, we all respect it. We know what it is. It's the biggest one. Well, what I have for you here is perhaps a Park Place in the marketplace. And so when I mentioned that it's on the market for $1.1 million, don't fall out of your chair. It's just Park Place, okay? It may not be for you specifically. It doesn't mean you can't play the game. And for the next 3 or 4 minutes, we're going to play the game of Monopoly. You see, when you buy Park Place, and then when you also buy Boardwalk, and now you have the monopoly of those two properties, and you start to put houses and hotels on them, what happens when someone lands on there? You collect a lot of money. That's the name of the game in Monopoly. It's the name of the game in playing investment in real estate. Well, what I have for you is 151 Toftum Lane in Columbia Falls. And yes, we're priced just under 1.1 million, but forget about that price tag for a second. Let's talk about why it's priced where it is. You see, this isn't just a home on an acre in Montana. Okay, this is not that. Okay, you can find plenty of $1 million, $1.1 million pieces of real estate, and they might be very pretty. They might be a 5,000 square foot cabin on the lake or overlooking the lake or on a river or next to a river or on 50 acres. It might be something very massive and very luxurious, and that's just fine. Okay. However, that's probably the end of that story. Okay. What I have for you here is a piece of property that throws 5 rent checks at you every month. So now that investor hat that I asked you to put on a couple minutes ago, hold on to it. Ready? Here we go. This is a piece of property that historically has played both sides of the rental table. LTR, STR. What I'm talking about here is long-term rent, short-term rent. Okay, short-term rent is what we call Airbnb and VRBO and all of those things. Okay, and is that a controversial topic? Yeah, kind of. I mean, some people like to think it's a controversial topic. It's not a controversial topic if you're licensed, if you're playing your P's and Q's, if you're doing all of the things that you need to do, which is not very difficult to do in Flathead County, by the way. And all you really have to do is call a skilled and good property manager to help you with those things. I've got plenty of references for you, and I'm going to give you my favorite, Lindsay. It's just simply coming back to that very first question I asked you: what's the return? That's what investors ask. What's the ROI? What's the ROI on this piece of property? Well, if I told you, investors, ready? If I told you this had an over 11% cap, would you still listen? Of course you would. Of course you would. In fact, you'd probably listen if I told you it was half that amount, okay? So you got a $1.1 million property with 11% cap. Whoa, let's break that down for you. What is a cap? Capitalization rate. I'll get to that in a second. Okay, what you have here are 5 dwellings, 5 doors that pay rent every week, every day, every week, every night, or every month at the very longest when it's playing LTR. So the property short-term rents through the summer season. Now, conservatively, you got to factor in, let's call that 90 days. Right? And the average for Flathead County is actually a little bit more than 90. I'm going to play conservative though, 90 days. So in 90 days, this property nets $59,000. I'm rounding, okay? And then the remaining 9 months as a long-term schedule, it brings in another $65,000. So after taxes and after a conservative look at insurance, you're bringing in right around $120,000. $120,000 into that $1.1 million price tag gives you an 11% cap. Okay, that's a massive amount of return. Now, is this the $1 million property overlooking the lake? No. This is a property with a stick-built structure that's divided into 2, up and down. So you got a dwelling up and you got a dwelling down that rents LTR and STR. It has a beautiful tiny home built in the back of it. It has a lot for a hookup for a mobile home, and it has a manufactured home in place right now. We're not giving much value to that manufactured home. However, it is being rented, and it's been rented for quite a while, and it has its own hookups. Okay, so what somebody might want to do in the beginning is, upon their ownership, is move that and bring in a more modern unit or a nicer unit and command higher rent. And it also has another pad for a camper, which rents exceptionally well. What I love about this opportunity is you're not commanding very big price tags. My wife and I have both learned this with our own rental property, that when you ask for the big ticket, you get less inquiries. When you are the very reasonable, very manageable ticket, you get all of the inquiries. So when I say conservative at 90, yes, it's likely going to see many more than 90 nights in a summer because these are all low ticket entries. Okay, so think of it this way. You have the largest eligible pool on this investment, bringing you a double-digit cap rate. Yes, it's 1.1. However, it's no longer 1.1. It becomes, well, how do I obtain that? Because that is a really massive return on investment. This is the Flathead Home Show. Justin Meccia playing Opportunity Broker with you. And if you'd like to learn more, 406-871-9404, justinmeccia.com. And of course, kjjr.com for all of these shows and the history of this great show called the Flathead Home Show. Flathead, hey, be safe, be well, have fun. And of course, as always, welcome home.